Greetings. I hope you are all doing well during this holiday season. In this video, I will be responding to some recent viewer comments and questions. So this is part 2 of a continuing series. My responses are more or less completely unscripted, so who knows where this may lead. I did do a little bit of preparation, so let's just dive into it. The first question or comment comes from Dan Creary, and Dan says, "Say no to dark forces, Paul. Also, you may want to consider Stripe, Square, or Parallel Economy. To the best of my knowledge, they don't have any creepy overreach in their policies." So thanks for your comment, Dan. This is just, I wanted to include this comment as a quick reminder that PayPal's going away for me on my member site. So if you're currently supporting my work, I will give you a grace period after the new year, but at the end of this month, it will be going away. So just a quick reminder. So I'm glad that Dan commented on that. That reminded me to communicate that to everyone. So thank you, Dan. Okay, so the next one is next comment from Maury Animation. "This is awesome. Thanks for all the education on money. It turned out to be hugely relevant and interesting." So this comes from my BioShock series, and this is from BioShock, the third BioShock game, which is, the name escapes me now. Someone please remind me. So in BioShock, so the game takes place in the late 1800s, and at that time there was and in the game there's silver coinage being used, and a silver coin is actually referred to as a dollar, and I think that comes from like the Netherlands. It's spelled D-A-L-E-R. It's a very old term, and it refers to silver coinage, or specifically 1 ounce of silver. So the US dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R, and a lot of other dollars around the world, it actually mimics money. So, but a dollar itself isn't really, it's not money, it's currency. So there's a big difference. So I did bring a few things here that I wanted to show. So, for example, this is currency. This is a $2 bill from about, I think, the early 1950s. And when I remember to do this, when I'm at the bank, I ask for $2 bills because sometimes they'll give you one of these. These are about $50 for collectors. So I've got there's a couple of these in this bag. And so, sometimes it's free currency. I could sell this for maybe about $40-$50. But I just keep it as a collector's item. Ironically, this has Jefferson on the front of the $2 bill. He and also Andrew Jackson were two of the most outspoken people in government against the bank charters of the various bank charters that have been in the United States. We've been under the same bank charter now since 1913, and so ironically, they chose to put Jefferson on the $2 bill and Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill, so read into that what you may. So this is currency. Now, currency points to actual money, so you could never get the people of, like, at the time that BioShock, the third BioShock game, or actually really the fourth, I guess you could say, at the turn of the century, in the early 1900s or late 1800s, right around that time, you could never get people to accept paper currency unless it was backed by real money. So this is a silver ounce. This is a Britannia. This is minted in the United Kingdom. These are just beautiful. 1 ounce of silver, 99.9% silver, and these are just fantastic specimens. I just love these Britannias, And so this here is actual money. This is a store of value. You can actually do a lot with this. You could, besides making jewelry, I mean, silver is used in the medical industry heavily. It's used for, in electronics, solar panels. There's so many things. It has so many wonderful qualities for conductivity with electronics. You couldn't make iPhones and all the gadgets without it. Also in the medical industry, this is antibacterial, so you would use silver to make instruments. And of course, you have silverware, and there's so many different uses of silver. It's a fantastic metal. And so the dollar is money, and it's just kind of a placeholder for this. So you could never get people to accept this unless you had this in the vaults, or unless you could take, way back in the day, you could take this to a bank, plunk it down on the counter, and they would give you the amount of silver for it, or gold if you had a gold note, that sort of thing. So I also want to show you, let's see. So here's a note. This is again, this is currency. This is not money. This is 20 pounds from the United Kingdom. And this would essentially, at least originally, when you got people around the idea of using paper money, this would point, ultimately, it would point to this, which is this is 1 kilogram of 999.9 fine silver. So this is about 32, just over 32 ounces US, or 32 imperial ounces, I suppose. I think it's the same thing. But this is 1 kilogram bar. The only reason I have this in my possession is simply because I took delivery of this recently, but this is going to secure storage soon. So let me show you another one. This is, again, this is 20 pesos, Mexican pesos here. Again, this is just currency. This doesn't have any intrinsic value on its own. That's really the main difference. Is this is currency. This points to this, silver or gold. This has intrinsic value. This is a store of value on its own. This is not. And so part of something being money, it must be a store of value. This is just currency. Now let me show you a combination of these two, which is quite a clever thing indeed. This is a gold-backed note. So this is actually this is legal tender in about 4 states now in the United States, and this is a gold-back. This one is for the state of New Hampshire, and this is 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. So this is gold that is, because you can work with gold, you can make it, you can make it super flat. The French were crazy about gilding everything with gold and just using this like gold leaf on everything. So this is sort of similar. This is a stretched out 1/1000th of an ounce, and then it's got a polymer plastic layer pressed on top, and that's why you've got this beautiful artwork in this green color. So this is, you could actually spend this. You could look this up. I think it's around $3.50 or $4 for one gold back, and you could spend this in several states in the United States, and this is growing. I think they just added, I believe they just added Montana too. Here is a 5-note gold back, and you can see the difference in size here. So the 5-note is, let me get my glasses here, and I can tell you, this is 1/200th of a troy ounce, so it's going to be a little bit bigger. Do I have that right? Yeah, that's what it says, 1/200th. And then, just for reference, and this is also a New Hampshire, and it says Veritas on the front here. I know you can't really see that super well because I'm a little back from the camera. And then this is a 10-note. This is 10 gold backs. And so each gold back's going to be progressively a little bit bigger than the next one. Each denomination a little bit bigger. Why? because these are made of real gold. This is real money. This is money. This is currency. Okay. Now, the genius with the gold back is that, you have, for the first time in history that I know of, this is the very first time that you had any sort of denominational gold that actually, because, before this gold note existed, you had gold coinage, but, 1 ounce of gold was, that's $1,800 currently today. That's a lot of money to be carrying around, and how are you gonna? You can't exactly buy groceries with that. So this 10 denominated gold back is 1/100th of a troy ounce of gold. So it's 1/100th, and again, this is just a beautiful, and this is also from, this is also for the great state of New Hampshire. So fantastic. So this is gold, and this is money. This is also currency. So it straddles this very interesting area where you have something with intrinsic value that you can actually spend. So this on the free market here, with the current gold price, 10 gold backs, I'm guessing that's somewhere in the area of about $45, something like that. So not too shabby there. Now, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you on that part of it. But I'm going to be sending out, I just want to let you guys know, I'm going to be sending out some of these gold backs to some of my long-term supporters as a thank you. So just to let you know, you guys that have donated or have, I'm gonna be sending you some of these, and you want to hang on to these. Hang on to these because you may need them. But yeah, these are just gorgeous, right? I mean, just incredible. This is real money. It's actually worth something. You can actually, yeah, it's just fantastic. So, I mean, currency just pales in comparison. I mean, this is just a piece of paper with some embedded security features, but in and of itself, the best thing you can do with this, maybe, especially in the future, is maybe use it for kindling or something like that. It's not really worth anything. But, it's not practical, of course, to carry this stuff around. Not very practical. Maybe a little more practical to carry around a Britannia or two. This is, I think the spot price is probably about $23 right now, but you're not going to be able to buy these for $23. They're probably selling Britannias for about $28, $29, $27, somewhere around there right now. I suggest if you have a little extra change, a little extra money this holiday season, pick up a few. Go on AppMex or SD Bullion or Money or Monument Metals or something and pick up a few of these. These are just gorgeous. And I'll probably end up sending a few of these silver rounds out to you guys too, now that I think about it. So these are just gorgeous. So anyway, this is money. This is money here, and this stuff is currency. Nothing wrong with currency. Nothing wrong with currency at all, as long as it points to this. As long as I can redeem it for this. If I can't redeem it for this, or the bottom falls out, then I just have a bunch of worthless paper and it's been inflated away. Well, what the heck do I have this for? And of course, then we have the perfect combination of money and currency, which is this here. We have we have actual real money. This isn't currency at all, but ironically enough, it's you have the money itself that's the gold that's denominated in notes. So it's very, very interesting. So the topic, and why am I talking about gold and silver and money versus currency? Why am I talking about that? Well, it's such an incredibly occulted topic that hardly anyone understands. And it took me quite a long time to even start to get my head around the difference between money and currency. And I'll tell you that if you're a student of the occult, and which I'm sure if you're subscribed to this channel, you definitely are, money is one of those occulted topics that's so widely misunderstood, and yet it's so very much worth your time to dive into and to understand. So if you have any questions about that, or if you want to learn more, leave a comment, and I can recommend some really awesome material as far as learning about money, the nature of money. It's a very, very occulted, interesting topic. Okay, so next comment is from Diane Graham. And Diane says, "Hi, new fan, but Opal is my birthstone, which is in October, so it's for Libra." So this comes from my Silent Hill 3 series, where I mentioned that Heather Mason's birthstone is an opal, since Heather is she's a Scorpio. Now, the popular understanding of birthstones is derived or comes to us from mostly by the Jewelers Association of North America. There may also be a Jewelers Association of Europe that kind of does the same thing. According to the Jewelers Association, there's a strict one-to-one correspondence as far as, you have one stone to each month or one stone to each astrological sign. However, this isn't quite true. This isn't quite the case, as there's actually a lot more going on than just a one-to-one relationship when we're talking about astrology. So I think it's better explained by this woman here. Her name is Shakti Carola Navran. She's an astrologer. She's been, she actually started out as a jeweler, and now she's been a jeweler for about 40 years. And then she got into astronomy after being a jeweler. And so I'll put the link to her video in the description. In her video, she does a great job of explaining how this correspondence of the different birthstones actually works. So I hope this explains why I said that the opal is Heather's birthstone. And I think the video, if you watch the video, it'll open up an entirely new world of astrological possibilities for a lot of people. And Shakti really, really does know her stuff quite well. And I even learned that the opal is my birthstone as well, something that I didn't even know before. So just to answer that comment. Now, the next one comes from, well, it's actually two people. Another fancy user says, "Man, you should have more subscribers." I see that a lot, and I really appreciate that sentiment. But also, I'm very realistic in terms of the world we live in and what's popular and what's not. And let's be honest, a lot of the stuff that we are interested in, and in my community, there's a lot of people interested in occult stuff, of course, artistic expression. There's a lot of artists in our community, writers, creative type of people. That we're kind of the behind the curtain type of people, right? The behind the curtain stuff is not really. It's only interesting to a kind of a subset of people. So let's just be realistic about, where we're at, and that sort of thing is not as popular as some of the more obviously popular things that are out there. And it's not an indictment. It's not to say that just because something is popular and kind of superficial and not very deep or thought out or that kind of thing, or not very, it's not evergreen, it's not the sort of thing that you can kind of revisit year after year, or you can go back to it and learn even more 5-10 years later. It's more just sort of a topical thing that's sort of a distraction. It's not to say I'm not making a judgment saying, well, what we're doing, what we talk about, what we focus on is better. I guess I am in a certain way, just simply because I'm more interested in things. I'm more interested in how the world works behind the scenes, more so than what's the latest, outrageous thing that captures everyone's attention. We have to remember that the currency of YouTube is attention. So if I were just looking to capture a wide range of attention, I certainly wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, right? But I'm only, my channel is, I cover things that I'm interested in. And, as a natural result, there are plenty of people that are interested in it, but it's not a popular thing. It's not a mainstream thing at all. So as long as we understand that, and I'm okay with that, I'm okay with that, because, at the end of the day, none of the stuff that we're interested in, or at least at the level we're interested in it, it's not going to ever going to be massively popular. And that's okay. Okay. There are a lot of very interesting people that I follow or I watch their YouTube videos, and they may have 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 25,000 subscribers. They don't get a whole lot of views, but man, have they helped me. Man, have they made such a difference in my life. And it's that sort of, it's the comments I get that when someone says, man, you made a difference in my life on some level, or you made me see something a different way, and my life trajectory changed. That's the real payoff for me. It's not seeing numbers on the screen. Wow, look how many views I got. Okay, that's okay, I guess. But if you affect someone's life, like really affect their lives and really change the perspective, that's pure gold right there. Okay. So now Vince replies to another fancy user's comment, and this is kind of tying into what I'm talking about here. Vince says, yep, probably one of the best qualified people talking about this on Twitch, YouTube. I am not a practitioner, but the study of internal alchemy helped me figure out a lot of things about myself, and a lot of stuff I learned here and applied it. I am sure if more people question themselves more often, the world would be a better place. So Vince says that he's learned a lot of things about himself. And it doesn't really have anything to do with me. It's more like, just what you say, Vince. It's that if more people question themselves or really looked deeply into, like, why do I believe what I believe, or why do I act this way, the world would be a better place. And 100%. And why is the world so wacky and crazy, and there's so much nonsense going on, and we're on the verge of, like, a massive war in Europe, and why is all this going on? I could make a whole video about just that topic, but there's a desperate lack of introspection. There's a desperate deficiency in terms of looking within. I mean, we all hear, we know that. And then Vince goes on to say, thank you, Paul, for the free lessons, history, and guidance. I'm having a really hard time right now, and listening to folks like you helps a lot. Well, Vince, I'm sorry to hear you're having a hard time. I hope that things are going better for you now, since it's been a month since you made that comment. And I'll tell you, it's not the road that we are on, being maybe a little more introverted, more introspective. It's not an easy road at all. I mean, it's not easy for anybody. Life is not easy for anybody. So I'm not here to say that we're some special case or something like that, because that certainly isn't the case at all. But it's not the numbers on the screen. So sometimes I hear this: you should have more subscribers, you deserve more subscribers. But if we inhabited a world where what kind of world would we live in if I had, like, a giant subscriber base, I actually don't think that would be a good world to live in, if that makes sense. Because, you know, if we had a world of a massive shift in the world, no one would have a need to really seek out this information in the first place, if that makes sense. It's not and so anyway, there's a lot to be said on that. And again, I'm going off the cuff here, so I tend to think out loud, and I don't always have a conclusion. Some people will speak in conclusions constantly, and you have to have a point and you have to have a conclusion. Well, sometimes I don't know what I think until I start to say it and try to work it out in real time, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. But I guess the point, if there is a point, is that to me, it's not the numbers on the screen. It's the one person who reaches out, like Vince, and says, something changed, and I see things a little bit differently, and that caused a kind of a snowball effect and a series of unforeseen events that happened that led me to a point where I looked back a year later or whatever, and I go, gosh, man, I'm glad that I saw this video, or I read this article, or I talked to this person, or I listened to that person, and because that set me on a path that kind of changed the trajectory, and it kind of helped me out, I feel like. At least that is how, that's been my experience in life. And there have been a few people, I feel, that maybe set me, or at least attempted to set me on a trajectory that may have been harmful, but I'd say the overwhelming majority of influences that I feel, once I feel someone has, is delivering their message in earnest and to the best of their ability, and they really believe that they're helping, and I get a sense that they actually are, and that they believe what they believe, that sort of thing. I've very, very rarely been steered wrong, if that makes sense, but it's an intuitive thing. I say this all the time, you have to go within, you have to really trust, you have to trust yourself, and you have to go in and really investigate for yourself. I say that in my Understanding the Occult book constantly. I'm not here to tell you this is the way, or you need to do this and that and this and that, right? That's all a bunch of BS. Don't believe what I'm saying. You have to test it against your own gut, your own intuition, right? Because I for sure don't have all the answers.